Good evening. My name is Jim Rurak, co-chairing this with Frank Cousins. And we're going to turn it to Maureen for a moment, and then we're going to take it and do a round of introductions and a few comments.
Great. So thank you everyone for being here today. This is a volunteer opportunity to really shape regional vocational school in our region and really think about the workforce for this region and think about our kids. You know, as all of you know, the last project failed, but we all know we need to do something here at Whittier so that we can continue the great education that our students are receiving here. So again, my name is Maureen Lynch. I am the superintendent here at Whittier Tech. I have been here 20 years. I know I don't look it, but I've been here 20 years, and this is my 10th year as superintendent. So I really welcome you. Please know that you can call me, you can email me. I will get back to you right away. I want to make sure that you have all the information that you need for the school building committee. So thank you again for being here, and I'll turn it back to the chairs.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here. I will do my very best to be fair and give everybody opportunities to speak, because I believe that that's the best way for this committee to do its job. Right now, I think what we'll learn from this evening is that our job is to wait and be prepared, but to be prepared in such a way as to be ready to move if and when we have the chance, which I think if we are prepared, we'll have a better chance than if we're not. And Maureen is going to outline that tonight. I was once a college educator. Both my children have found meaningful employment in the trades. I want this to work.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Frank Cousins. I live in the city of Newburyport. It's my pleasure to be asked to be on this committee to work with all of you. I'm a big listener. I've always tried to be. My last work was in the city of Gloucester. I was the chief administrative officer, and we were fortunate enough to get a school project across the finish line, get the building opened, and it was a great honor to me to be participating in that. So when I got asked to do this, I thought it'd be fun to work with all of you, and as the mayor said, take our time, listen to everybody's input, and try to really work together as a group, and I think it'll be a very successful project, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you.
Why don't you hand it off that way, Frank?
Okay.
How you doing? I'm Scott Wood. I'm the chairman of the Whittier VOTEC School Committee. It's nice to, for those I don't know, it's nice to meet you all. I look forward to working with you.
I'm Patrick Heffernan from Newbury Select Board, and I was just elected this past spring, so very new to all this, very new to this whole process. Full disclosure, I'm also on the Triton School Building Committee as well, so hoping that everything that I'm learning from one committee I can share with the other and back.
Hi, I'm John Mitchison on the City Council in Haverhill, and I'm very interested in making sure that the kids that haven't been able to get into Whittier VOTEC will now have an opportunity moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin Bowe. I'm the Whittier School Committee member from West Newbury.
Robert Hardy, Plant Facility Manager at Whittier Tech, Haverhill resident, and I've been employed here for about 10 years, and I'm excited to be on this team.
I'm Bernie Cullen, and I'm chairman of the Raleigh Water Board, and I'm the Raleigh rep.
Hi, I'm Michael Colburn, Salisbury Selectman. I'm also, for disclosure, I'm also on the Triton with Patrick Bill Committee. I also have been involved since the failure of the first project, involved with all the discussion with all the municipal leaders. So I have a lot of institutional knowledge why we are where we are today. I hope to bring all that knowledge that I have gained in the past 2 years working with all 11 communities to bring any discussion that may have already taken place, and we want to work with all of you and find a path for our children. And as I was sitting here before I came in, I saw all the young people coming in after graduating high school. There's a lot of people. This school is very important for our region, and I want to find a path forward for it.
Hi, I'm Chris Leganis, Principal Assistant Superintendent at Whittier Tech. I've been in this building for 20 plus years, and it is an amazing building, and the best part about this building is the culture and the kids and the staff.
Mike McCarthy, I'm the Executive Vice President at Northern Essex Community College, and I'm just really excited to be part of this process, and thank you for including me.
Hi, I'm Jen Ball. I'm the Chief of Staff at Northern Essex. I'll echo Mike. Thank you very much for including us, and happy to be part of this group.
Hi, Amanda Crosby. I am a Vocational Technical Coordinator here at Whittier Tech. I've been here for over 10 years, and I also oversee anything related to adult education.
My name is Dick Early Jr. I represent Haverhill on the school committee. I've been on here 25 years, and I'm here to help the kids and try to get this thing to the finish line. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Sullivan. I am Ipswich School Committee Rep to the Whittier School Committee. Before I retired, I was Director of Career Tech Ed. I've been in Tech Ed for 34 years, and I was involved in building Essex Tech. So we did that building project. And I worked with the architects and tech teachers and designing the programs.
I'm Tammy Dentremont, the Comptroller at Whittier Tech. I'm a Haverhill resident, and I'm in my 19th year here at Whittier Tech.
Hi everybody, I'm Kara Cosmos. I'm the business manager here at Whittier Tech. This is my 13th year here, and this is my 5th building committee that I will have participated in my 29 years in school finance.
Adam Haywood, Town of Groveland Finance Board. My son is a recent graduate of Whittier in 2023. It's very important. I got 2 more coming up that I'd like to see go here. And to echo what the chair had said, I am the vocational school success story, having graduated and worked my way up construction project management for 30 years. I hope to bring some of that expertise to the table.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jonathan Seymour. I'm currently Executive Director of Operations at the Pentucket Regional School District. I live in Merrimack. I was the chair of the Pentucket Regional School Committee Building Committee when we built our building, and I spent most of my career in secondary education. So happy to be here. Look forward to working with all of you.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Daly O'Brien. I'm a retired nurse of 47 years. I had a great professional career. I raised 4 daughters, one of who went here and was a very successful graduate in the culinary program. And I also spent my last 20 years of my nursing career as a city councilor in Haverhill. So my interest, like I think most of us, is opportunities for children. And that is the most important thing. Thank you.
The rest of the evening goes that well. We'll be done by 7:30. Maureen?
I'm just sitting here in awe of the team that has been put together here today. There's so much institutional knowledge of our region. Your past work has really, and I'm just really excited. I think this is going to be an amazing committee. And I love that most of you talked about kids, because that is what is the most important part of everything that we do here at Whittier. So we're going to get right to work. The MSBA timeline. This was a letter that was sent to us, I believe it was December 18th. And this was when we were invited into the eligibility period with MSBA. So these are the deliverables that are due to MSBA. So the initial compliance certificate has been sent in. The school building committee, as you can see, we have had that approved by MSBA. The educational profile questionnaire, I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. Online projection, enrollment projection, that was something that we worked through pretty significantly with the municipal group. There are some issues with enrollment, right? There are some cities and towns that their school age population is going down and going down at a significant rate. And then there are other places where it's going up or staying steady. So trying to find that right spot for 11 communities. This is a regional school, and looking at how that would affect the region and enrollment numbers. So those are some of the things that we talked about in the municipal group. I think that group decided that 1,500 was a number that they could live with. I will tell you that when we went to MSBA, the last building project, and I promise I will stop talking about the last building project because I start to feel sad and upset. But the last building project, I asked for an enrollment of 2,400 because I wanted to do what Mr. Mitchison said and accept every student that applies. And they said absolutely not, that that would really hurt the region and hurt the regional schools. So they did get us, we're at 1,280. They did say that we could go up to 1,400. When that school building committee sat down and looked at the cost between 1,280 and 1,400, they thought it was cost prohibitive to add those 120 seats. That will be up to this committee as we move forward as to whether that is cost prohibitive or something that we want to move forward with. But we do have a meeting with MSBA. They've set the date on January 28th to look at enrollment with us, and they'll look at populations within each city and town. They will look at possible building projects that are happening in each city and town. They'll take a whole overview within our region and come back to us, and then we'll kind of negotiate a number with them when that time comes. So the eligibility period. Our eligibility period started on August 1st. So we have 270 days to complete this eligibility period. And please, if you have any questions, just stop me and ask the chair who can answer a question. But I feel like this is an opportunity to really make sure that everybody's on the same page as we move forward. So the eligibility period started on August 1st. As you can see, those are the things that list of to-do items, that's what we're working through right now. The local authorization, the maintenance documents and enrollment certification. I spoke a little bit about enrollment. Kara and Bob are working through the maintenance documents. Those maintenance documents, they want to look at capital, if you have a capital plan, how you're fixing your maintenance, how much those things are costing, and they will give you points back for MSBA reimbursement. And I can tell you the last time we received the most we could receive for reimbursement. So it's a big report that we want to make sure that we do thoroughly and accurately. And then the local authorization of funding. This is to say that, you know, we're looking at a feasibility study. It's going to cost $2.5 million. And are we ready to move forward with that? And does the school committee approve us moving forward with that kind of expense? And then the board of directors will move us forward into the feasibility stage once we are complete at that April 28th date. Are there any questions about any of that? All right. So the
Quick question. Local authorization vote, who's doing that?
The school committee.
Okay. Local school committees?
Our school committee will vote as to
just
what.
our school.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've been working.
Clarify on that?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't the
Please, go ahead.
Sorry. Doesn't the expenditure has to go through our town meetings? That has to be voted at town meeting though, right?
The budget. So that's one thing that we have actually a meeting with MSBA on Monday.
Yep.
As long as the school district has the funding for the feasibility study. But that's something that we're going to talk to MSBA about, because we told them we won't have a budget by April 28th. We won't have a budget probably till July 1st. And if that would be okay. So that is a meeting that we have with MSBA on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
So
Dick.
Excuse me, currently, where is the $2 million coming from?
well, it would come from the cities and towns. There's been some discussion about Northern Essex Community College, possibly providing some funding. So again, those are all things that I'm having a meeting with MSBA on Monday to kind of iron out whether we can do all of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And our role would come after that happens, correct? Everybody understand that? I wasn't completely clear on that myself, so I appreciate all of this clarification. I did do some homework beforehand, but I know there's been a lot of background discussion, but we don't have any action items other than getting ready until an appropriation is made to do a feasibility study. Then we get involved in choosing a contractor.
Right.
Is that correct? All right.
That's when you would be hiring your owner's project manager.
Correct.
And design
Yep.
team. So we have been working, I think Mr. Colburn mentioned, for the last year and a half, trying to lay the groundwork to get to actually where we are today. And so, we have set up a website, Building the Future of Whittier Tech website. I'm going to bring you to that website now. So this is information that is on our website right now that you can access. MSBA documents. These are the documents that we were just talking about, the educational profile questionnaire. You just click on that, and then here is the questionnaire that we have submitted to MSBA. And this is looking at enrollment of students. It's looking at possible programs that we would be looking at. It's looking into how we run our school, and then possibly how we would want to run our school, especially looking at the possibility of working with Northern Essex Community College and what that might look like if we do in fact do that. I think it's important to say that MSBA has been pretty clear with us. They want us to look at 4 different things. They want us to look at building over at Northern Essex Community College, a new building over at Northern Essex Community College, building here at Whittier Tech, a renovation and addition here, and then just a renovation. So there are 4 options that we will have to work through the feasibility study. So that's.
Chair, can I add something to that? I'm just trying to help Maureen remember everything. But we also, all 11 communities also signed a letter asking that we could take the original one from the past project, some of that calculations, and just replay with the numbers that to date that would change, correct?
Right. So the municipal leaders have written a letter that I will be sending out to MSBA tomorrow. Mike found a couple of mistakes, so thank you, Mike.
I'm just trying to help you. We're going to tag
I
team on this.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Sending to MSBA saying, you know, the old feasibility study isn't that old. And can we look at those numbers and project an increase in cost on some of those things? Because really, I would say that the municipal group really felt like, you know, they want to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and to do the whole study over when the study is not old doesn't seem like a smart thing to do. So they have drafted up a letter. I have sent it to everyone at this point, and I will be sending that to MSBA tomorrow. And hopefully we will get a response. I would say that we will get a response pretty early, if not before the beginning of the new year, right after. So we will know, that's really where the cost of a new feasibility study will make a difference, right? If it's a full one, or if it's, we can use some of the information from the last one.
Please, Mr.
So which feasibility study? Where would I find a copy of that feasibility study?
Oh, it's pages long, so.
I went through all the previous documentation. So
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of it, but
Yeah.
which feasibility study?
I actually don't think it's online. I'll have to get that back online. But the last feasibility study that when we worked with Left Field.
It's Left Field.
Yes.
Would you repeat that for everybody? What was the name of the study?
So
How do we identify the study?
owner's project manager was Left Field for the last building project. Left Field.
We playing baseball or?
Well, it's really left field, it's all one word.
So, okay.
I'm not just joshing.
Is that how it's spelled?
Yes.
That's why I asked. Okay, thank
Spelled the
you.
way it sounds.
All right. Thank you. Would you each make sure that you're really speaking as close? We could hear you, Mr. Cullen, but are we on first name basis? Is everybody okay with that?
Yes, Chair, please.
All right. Well, I'm old fashioned. I usually ask that first thing at a meeting. So, Dick, please put
Thank you.
microphone close.
Maureen, what was the maximum last time? 65 or 70% that they would pick up? The MSBA?
The reimbursement rate?
Yes.
It wasn't. I'll have to go back, but it wasn't that high.
No, but the maximum they have, but we were in the low 30s, weren't we? 30%?
I think we're like high 30s.
Okay.
What our final reimbursement rate was.
question again, Dickie, one more time?
What it is the reimbursement what the state has, and I heard it was 65%, possibly 70% in communities, but ours shrunk all the way down under 40%.
Why?
So we're talking about the old building project.
No, but still, it's numbers, it's percentages.
So for the building project, so let's say district spaces, those are not reimbursable. So the superintendent's office, the school resource officer space, most of those the curriculum office, the business manager, all of those spaces are non-reimbursable to MSBA because they're district spaces. So there was some of that.
Athletic fields?
I mean, I could,
The site work, wasn't the site work put off to the side too?
the site work was pretty significant too, and a lot of that wasn't
Yeah, they
reimbursable
didn't
as well.
reimburse us on that
Yeah.
either.
And if I remember, you have your own water system? Is
Yeah.
that in part of the project?
We have our own wastewater treatment
Yeah.
program.
So,
yeah.
is that part of the project?
I don't believe that that's reimbursable with MSBA as well.
Right, so, and that's gotta be another, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there were many things because of this is a regional school and has regional elements. That's where some of it, and, you know, we can do a lot of comparisons as we move forward. I think that is one of the things that with Northern Essex space is, you know, if you out here at Whittier Tech, it's a swamp out there, right? And so the buildable space was very difficult. And we're hoping that Northern Essex has much better buildable space.
It's on sewer.
Yeah, and it's on sewer.
Please.
Okay. So the other thing that we went through was the MSBA Chapter 74 vocational technical information. So this is looking at our Chapter 74 programs and any programs that we would like to look at or possibly move forward with. So some of the new programs that we are putting out there, it's not that we're definitely going to move forward with them, but we want to research them before we move forward with a new building project, was criminal justice and public safety, environmental science, sustainability, facility maintenance and management, robotics, automation, engineering, and vet science. So those are our Chapter 74 programs that we're going to research over the next year or two to see if those are programs that we want to look at. Okay? And again, all of this information is on our Building the Future website. And then this is the letter that was sent on December 13th, 2024. This is really our roadmap of how we are moving forward with this project. So I think it's important to say, you know, they wanted to have a letter from the municipal leaders saying that they were ready to move forward with eligibility before we could move into eligibility. That's why we didn't start till August 1st. The cities and towns all did move forward with that, and I think there was some excitement. We had a little thing out on the field with everybody's picture because it was a big event. It did take us a while to get there, but all the cities and towns were behind this, moving forward into eligibility. Some of the other things that I think are important, amend as may be needed the existing vocational agreement, support the district during feasibility phase to examine both the existing Whittier site along with the Whittier Tech site at Northern Essex, and proceed with understanding that a feasibility study conducted in connection with this eligibility period will not be eligible for MSBA reimbursement. Further down, the school building committee, the district must write a letter signed by the chief executive officer of each city and town of who they chose to be a part of this school building committee. The educational profile questionnaire, and that's something that we worked with Northern Essex Community College. We also used the Donahue Institute report that was done last year as well to drive some of that work. The online projection, again, looking at the UMass Donahue Institute. And then the ability for the district to complete all the requirements within the 270 days. Doesn't guarantee the invitation into the MS. Hey, Orlando. I think it's important to also note that in order for us to move into schematic design, so we are in eligibility. I know it gets a little confusing with all the different. We are in eligibility right now. We will move into feasibility, and then we will move into schematic design. We cannot move into schematic design until any amendments of the regional agreement are complete. So that's going to be really important, and that's why that work of the Regional Amendment Committee has begun to start.
Can you explain that a little bit? The regional, the committee to,
Sure,
Yeah.
it's on the slide.
no, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't want to get ahead of
I think
myself, but
I think it's next.
yeah.
Oh, maybe
Explain
it's
that.
not. So module 1, you know, this is what we've been talking about over the last little bit. Again, it's pretty much a roadmap of the work that we need to complete over the next few months. Module 2 is forming that project team, looking at our OPM, and then looking at professionals for, and that would be require the request for services. That's really where Tammy and Kara come in, making sure that we are doing that properly. And then, I know Triton has recently gone through this process as well, looking at an OPM, and the process will be, it's a pretty detailed process that you need to follow. It probably will be a subcommittee of this committee that ends up choosing who that OPM is. But that really is, in my opinion, one of your biggest decisions that you make moving into this. So the Regional Amendment Committee.
Maureen, can I just ask a quick question? So are we, or maybe this is a question we'll take offline, but are we operating under the assumption that the district cannot use the previous OPM? Or that the district is just being forced to do a new procurement?
I think the district would have to do a new procurement.
Okay.
I don't think we could automatically go with the OPM, yeah.
No, pardon me for thinking efficiently.
Yes.
Does everybody know Orlando Pacheco? We did introduce, I'm new, so I assume that nobody knows anybody, but I know some people, but I just wanted to make sure. He just came in, Orlando Pacheco.
We've all bounced around the same circle for a while. Not a new project.
Learning as I go.
Yeah, Orlando has been a part of the municipal groups as well, along with Mike, so he's been here from the beginning through this process. So the Regional Agreement Amendment Committee, this work, so there'll be one voting representative from each city and town. The municipal leaders did ask that it be them that were, they really felt that group who has worked together for the last year should just continue that work moving forward with the regional agreement. They have been sending me their nominees. I think I've asked for it to be by December 1st, so I can bring it to my school committee on December 10th for their vote. So I think at this point I have almost everybody. So I think I'm missing a handful of people. But then once we get going on that group I think is meeting, help me out, Mike, was it December 17th?
Yes.
Yes, so December 17th, that group will be meeting at Northern Essex Community College to start that work. I will tell you that the Regional Amendment Committee has their work cut out for them. It's a lot of work. So trying to make sure that everybody has a say within 11 communities and feels comfortable with that regional agreement. And then we will bring it back to the school committee. The school committee will vote on it. We will bring it to DESE. Then it will have to go to each city and town for approval of that agreement. So this is going to be a long process. It is, I say all the time, this is going to be a marathon. This is not something that is going to get done quickly. But I have a lot of faith in the people that are working on this. They know how important it is for us to get moving on it. And so they're not wasting any time. I think our school committee meeting is on December 10th and they've set up a meeting for December 17th. So, any questions about that? I will say 4 school committee members are going to be on it, not necessarily voting members, but we do think it's important that the communication between the school committee, the Regional Amendment Committee, this group, everybody's got to be talking the same language and moving in the same direction. That's going to be really, really important because, it's all of you that are going to have to go back to your cities and towns and explain what this project is all about. And let them know that the work has been done as we move forward on a vote.
When it goes back to the cities and towns, how will they determine yes or no? Will that be by the officials in the cities and towns, or is there a vote that has to happen?
I think the city council can vote, and I think each town will have it in their town meeting.
We'll have it as
Legislative body.
whatever the adjudicatory body is, we'll determine it in the town. Thank you.
So it will be quite a long process.
Dick?
I have a question. How does everybody here feel having a Zoom meeting versus a live meeting?
Live meeting is preferable to me.
I prefer live.
Same.
Myself, I like to feel in touch at live meetings, but it's something that it's gotta be talked about soon, but
Next steps and action items.
Well,
Thank you.
I think that having the availability of Zoom under certain circumstances would be nice, because we had that available to us as Haverhill City Council, and certainly COVID gave us a whole new level of understanding of it. And if you're using it for the right reasons, you
we're
know,
still building a very
you're still
expensive,
able to participate and know what's going on.
still building a very, very expensive building here.
That's right. But I mean, I prefer being in person, but if something happens and the only way I can be here is because I can Zoom, then, you know, life happens. I've got 4 kids. Life happens. That's all I'm going to say.
Mike?
How about a hybrid model?
Yes, we can certainly do that.
Well, let's hope nothing happens
Yeah.
that will keep us from joining together, but it does seem that most of us would like to be here and involved as much as we can. So I agree
Thank
that
you.
if it does happen,
Yeah, it's
we'll work to make a meeting happen, but let's hope nothing happens that makes that happen. Is that clear? Thank you.
So next steps and action items, when Mr. Rorak and Mr. Cousins and Mr. Wood and I met, we discussed the possibility of having a tour of the building, so because I know many of you have never really toured our building, especially with the kids. I think that's really important to see what's going on with our kids and the work that happens here at Whittier. So we came up with a couple of dates. We understand that some of you work and cannot come during the day, and we thought maybe we would do a tour at night before our next school building committee meeting.
Both Frank and I asked for this because we hadn't been acquainted with the building recently. I think I went to an open house maybe 10 years ago, and but I'd like to hear from the facilities people and from Maureen, you know, why the need for all of this. I'm not sold before I came in. I believe that in a totally vocational education, but the particular way in which we do it and promote it, I'd like to see and feel this building and hear from the facilities people, you know, what the needs are. And I think for a lot of us, if we see those needs, we're going to be a lot more convinced that we need to do this. But I need to be convinced as well. And I hope that some of you are in that same position and would want to have a tour. And Maureen has volunteered if somebody can't make an 11 o'clock time on either the 13th or the 15th, we said, that she could conduct a tour after hours, after business hours, for people whose work schedules would not make that possible. But the better thing would be to be here when we see some of the life, and as it's been described, the culture of the building in action. So in the meantime, one moment, please, just in the meantime, we're going to ask people which one they would prefer. Do you want to try to do that now and see how many could come on the 13th?
Which is a Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. How many the 15th only? 15th only? 15th only. How many could come on the 15th as well as the 13th? That looks to me like the 15th is the better of the two. Then we'll try it for the 15th. Some of you probably don't need to do this, so that's a fairly good sample of this group who would like to. Yes, sir. Is this about this item? Okay.
115 a holiday?
15th?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, it's Martin Luther King Day, isn't it?
That's always on a Monday, isn't it?
All right,
Monday the
celebrating
19th.
it on a Monday.
Monday
Yeah.
the 19th. Monday the
That's
19th.
fine.
Yeah, the 19th. Thank you, though. Appreciate that. Mr. Bernie.
Yes, I was interested in actually, so I've been around the building, so I'm familiar with this building, but I'd be interested in seeing best-in-class,
See what, Bernie, I could
a
hear?
best-in-class building in the VOTEC area, like Essex Aggie, or whichever one is basically viewed as a best-in-class
Well,
comparator.
I think that's a great idea, and I think that we should probably do our own tour here first and then put that on the agenda. We could pick a couple in the state and go out and visit them, get a bus and all ride and take a tour of them. I think it's a great idea. Whenever you build a police station or fire station, go out and look at them. Same thing here. So we clearly could accommodate the committee and do that, and I think we should do that. It's a good question. But I think we should do our own tour here first and then look at everybody's schedule again and get out and go around the state, see where we want to go. Superintendent could put some schools together for us and we can tour them. It's a good idea. Everybody comfortable with that?
So,
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
So, everyone's comfortable with going out to look at other VOTEC schools in the Commonwealth somewhere?
Yeah.
That'd be a good field trip. Good.
We did that before.
Well, I think it'll be great, Dick.
So the 15th at 11. And then anybody who would like a tour who cannot make it on the 15th, please contact Maureen directly. Is that fair enough?
That's great. And on the 15th, I'll have a light lunch for us and wear your walking sneakers because it's a big building and I do want you to see as much of it as we possibly can. And, really I'll have Bob, the facilities director really,
Thank you.
I think part of the struggle for us is we do have a lot of pride in the school and we want to show off and sometimes we're not showing you the things that need to get fixed because we're proud of all the other work that we're doing. So Bob will definitely highlight the to-do list for us. So thank you, Bob.
Best practice.
Anything not yet covered?
Next school building committee meeting. So, no, there's not much for this school building committee to do until we get into that feasibility study, but I do think it would be really important for us to touch base again to see where we're at and what we're doing, especially with the regional amendment committee and with the school committee and our allocation for the feasibility study, and then also finding out from MSBA as to whether we can use some of the last study for this new project. So, I don't know what you are looking at for a time for another school building committee meeting.
Who had the question about enrollment this evening? You.
Well, I did, and I do have another question, but I was going to save it
Oh, well.
for the new business part of
Well,
the agenda.
the reason I asked that question was, I think that should be an agenda item for you to go over enrollment and explain the different options, and I'll let you piggyback on it if you like. Go right ahead,
I
Counselor.
would love to. So I think that is a real important step. Now, have you already decided what that number is for enrollment?
We put in 1,500.
So you put
So
in
MSBA, we have a meeting with them on January 28th. They will tell us whether that's a target number or not. The last building project, they told us 1,400.
Okay, so the committee isn't going to have any input into that?
The municipal leaders did, when we all gathered, all the 11 cities and towns, they felt comfortable with 1,500.
Right, but we're on the building committee, right? And this is going to drive the size of the school. And we have, factors pointing in both directions, depending on what the needs are for the various towns, as well as the city. And so I think we need a serious discussion about that. And that we have at least an opportunity to address it. To me, that's one of the most important aspects of this building committee, right? It's not just about, concrete and wood and so forth, but really it's what's important, as my former colleague on the city council said, what's the best thing for the kids?
I think, though, just from.
Excuse me,
getting-
Mayor. Scott has given a hand, just give me a hand signal and then I'll make a count, okay? Scott, and then Jonathan, and then.
On that topic, I agree with Councilor Mitchinson on that. I've been a part, I think this is the 4th or 5th building committee I've been a part of. Generally, it's the building committee that decides the enrollment. So while I respect the municipal leaders coming up with that number, I don't feel like that should be something that we're not discussing here as part of the decision-making process. So to me, that's kind of backwards on how the decision-making process usually works and how every building committee I've ever served on, how the decision-making process works. So I didn't know that. That's a concern of mine. I did not know that the municipal leaders had already came up with a number. Generally speaking, the building committees look at that, look at different options, come up with a number, and that's how it's done. So this would be completely different than the operations I've seen ever done before, and I do have significant concerns about that. If that's not a discussion that we're going to even talk about, then it's already been decided, and we're not going to even take that up. I have a big problem with that.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I was
And
curious,
Mary Ellen.
what's the current enrollment at Whittier?
1288.
1288. And I mean, in my experience, like it's a really, really important thing because it will drive square footage of the building.
Mhm.
And in my experience as well, like it's based on the sort of demographics, and it's really the MSBA's call as to what that's going to be. And I think the role of, Maureen and whoever is to advocate. I remember going to the MSBA and advocating for a larger number. Here's our data. The number should be bigger. They gave us a little bit bigger number. So I think certainly advocating for that, but as MSBA, every square foot is money to them, so they're going to keep that as tight as possible. But again, I want to see more students be able to access an education at a place like this too.
I think earlier on, and Mary Ellen, in a moment, that Marina mentioned that she had pushed for 2,000 at one point. There was a real pushback, 2,400. So she's on our side in a sense, but there must have been something going on as well that we need to hear about. Mary Ellen?
It's
Yeah, I'm
encouraging
sorry.
to hear
Sorry,
that
we're done.
you're going to get the opportunity to go there, and advocate for the number that you think, and perhaps we can give you some things to argue with, right, and some data to help you support your argument when you get
Right. But we also here need to be aware that this municipal group is counting dollars at the same time they're counting students. And there are limits on all communities' ability to pay. So we have to work together with them on this. All set? Please.
My concern was because they had discouraged her in the past, and the fact that so much of this building, because of the kind of building it is and what it supplies for services, aren't reimbursable, that's where the money thing gets very, very, so how do we convince them that this is a value? Because obviously they look at a building like this and they're not going to reimburse the way they reimbursed us in Haverhill for the schools we've done. This is a whole different equation, and we have to keep that in mind, and the burden that goes on to these communities.
Michael and then John.
Yes, Chair. Just to give you some background, I'm sure Orlando and Maureen were, say the same. We were told we could only have 1,400, and the municipality group actually asked for 1,500. So we asked for more than what the MSBA is even going to allow us to do. So all the municipal leaders, we all agreed that we wanted to try to get more students. And that it wasn't an arbitrary number we came up with. Orlando was there, Maureen were there, and we were trying to get more students what the MSBA is going to allow us to have. So it wasn't the opposite that we were trying to lower the students because of funding. It was because the MSBA is going to stick us at 1,400, and we were trying to get more students.
John, then Orlando, then Scott.
So basically, if we follow that process, right, we know that we're not going to be able to address Haverhill's needs. And so, to me, that's a good first step in the building committee process, right? To figure out what makes sense to all of the various communities. All 13 communities, because we have different perspectives. In fact, that's probably why, it's been difficult in the past to come to an agreement. So I think this is probably the most basic thing that we do here. So let's say we do come up with 1,500. How many do we really need?
We need 2,400 to
We
take
need
every student that
2,400.
applies, but the MSBA, that's not an argument that they're taking on. It's really looking at the population of the 11 communities. And, what we are in how our growth is compared to what other school districts are currently dealing with. So it's not just one community. We have to take into consideration the 10 others.
Orlando?
Well, I just wanted to sort of echo what was said and sort of explain it in a way where the municipal leaders, when they got together, and this was after some long consultations with our own school departments, there seemed to be a push to, I'll say there seemed to be a little bit of a push to limit the enrollment number because of the impact it could have on the other school districts. I think we also had to say, well, what is our fiduciary responsibility to the kids that go to school here? Because we have to really take the position that they're all our kids, right? It's not a Georgetown high school kid, an Essex Tech kid, and in Georgetown's case, because we send 23 kids there, we send 59 here now, give or take, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this in totality in terms of how it impacts the school districts. And so the original number clearly wasn't meeting the demand, right? If the demand is the number of applicants, then, and we're only letting in, I would say, if we're looking at 2,400, little over 50% of the true demand. Understanding that MSBA wasn't going to give us 2,400, we sent the signal that we want more. If MSBA comes back and says you can do 2,000, I think the position of the municipal leaders will be, okay, let's reevaluate that. But when we were told you're not going to get more than 1,400, I think the push was, all right, let's just move the needle a little bit and see what happens, which is now where we are in terms of Maureen having a meeting, which may or may not be more fruitful. But I don't think the goal was to ever usurp or undermine a school building committee that didn't exist at the time.
Scott, and then John Mitchison.
Yep, I just had a follow-up question because I think Orlando and Mr. Coburn said it, that the MSBA said 1,400. So I'm confused that they already came up with that number before
The previous building project.
So we're talking about we're not talking about, so we're going back to that one because that would be very confusing to me if the MSBA came up with a number now without us looking at anything or options. The way that I've always done these in the past is you're looking at multiple options. Maybe there's an option for 1,200, 1,400, and 1,800. You look at those different options, you debate it. So I'm a little confused why we would take what they said 3 or 4 years ago for that project and apply it to this project on the enrollments, I guess.
Do you want to answer?
It doesn't.
So I
Give her a chance to answer, and then John, and then Bernie after
I don't want to
John.
speak for the town leaders, but many of our towns, I can tell you, their school-age population has gone down significantly in those 3 or 4 years.
No, I understand
So,
that. I'm just
when
trying to
you're
figure out
looking
why
at-
we used the number from 3 or 4 years ago to apply it now without potentially looking at what our options are before submitting a number.
I think we did look at the options. So the option right now is we have 1,288 students at Whittier Tech. The option for the past school building project, the highest they would let us go was 1,400. So when we look at that 1,400 3 or 4 years ago, and look at what's happening now in some of our communities, the school-age population in many of our high schools has gone down significantly. So in meeting with the town leaders, they felt like, and in Haverhill, like we could go up to 1,500 and it wouldn't hurt the other cities and towns by doing that. If anybody else wants to.
We're going John Mitchison, Bernie Cullen, and then Mike from Salisbury.
Yeah, I think we're kind of doing it backwards.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd like to see those numbers, that point to what we think we need. Because, for example, I've got a new buddy that I just met tonight from Newbury, who's on the Triton
School building committee.
School Building Committee. And we both said the same thing, that wouldn't it be nice, right, if we could coordinate the Whittier effort here with Haverhill High, Triton, and all the other communities, right, to see how we could share the load so that at the very end of this, we come up with a plan that works for the kids. I don't get it, that we're not gonna have any input into that.
I mean, we can certainly have another meeting and talk about enrollment. You know, I can tell you that if you can talk to MSBA, that meeting is on January 28th. I think I'll go back to what Jonathan said, is that it's very prescribed with MSBA. There's not a lot of wiggle room that we will have with them. They look at the data, they look at all the cities and towns and schools. And my feeling is right now, we will have to advocate really hard for 1,500.
I just want to add, I think we need some data. I think we probably would like to have a presentation from the school building authority about enrollment, and I think everyone around the table has a lot of questions about enrollment, and I think we've got to at least vet those out and answer those questions, and I think it's important from what I've heard from everybody around the table. So I think that's what, when I brought this up, the word enrollment, I think it's important we get some additional work on it, Maureen, for the committee.
Yes, I'd just like, I've been looking at this question previously. In the 11 local communities, only one is showing material growth in student population, and that is Haverhill. And that's significant growth as well. It's, all the other communities are either flat or they are declining significantly. And the decline in significantly is, if you're, I don't think anybody, is anybody from Georgetown here?
Yes.
Orlando is Georgetown. 300.
It's a problem. You're right in terms of actual numbers of students in the school system is getting to that tipping point situation where you'll lose even more students because you can't support the athletics, you can't support a lot of the activities just on the sheer numbers of students.
Yeah, there's definitely been a programmatic issue at Georgetown High School due to the lack of students for a number of reasons, but this freshman class in particular was the smallest of the four. While next year's class may be somewhat bigger, we do expect the current 7th grade class to be closer to what this class is. So even if you have a good year, our overall trend is, I think, going to go down sharper than most of the other communities in the room.
Yeah, so I think there's a big problem, and it's a dynamics problem in the sense that as you push on one thing or as you expand on one thing, the other issues pop up.
I guess one of the
Excuse me, I want you to be able to, but we do have another person who's got priority, but I've done this because there was a question asked to Orlando, not normal procedure, but that would be the time for it to be answered, so to close that off, and then Mike is going to.
Sure. No, I guess I would say is one of the things we have to struggle with in this process is, does our enrollment issue locally, how much of a burden should that be borne by Whittier? And if we have a local demand for that product, we should be advocating as much for those students as we would for any other. And so there is a problematic dichotomy there for us, and I think this process will help us filter that out. But I think you're right, we need clear answers if we're going to convince our taxpayers to foot the bill.
Mike, let me ask one question to Maureen. Can we get a sense of what the ratio is from all of the communities individually of applicants to those who are accepted? I'm not asking you to rattle it off right now, but can we get a general sense of that at some point? If you want to if we can get that now, would the committee like to have that? And then Mike.
It sounds like we want to have a meeting, and I can certainly bring all of that information and go over that information. I can go over also the significant cost differential for the last project, and why the school building committee chose to stay with the 1280 versus going with the 1400. It was a significant increase in cost for that 120 kids. So I think those are things that are really important to be thinking about, because at the end of the day, one of the things I heard loud and clear was the cost of the project. And I do think that there are ways that we can be creative with, if we end up working with Northern Essex, there are ways that we can be creative to expand enrollment without necessarily expanding a school building.
Mike and then Jonathan.
So,
Excuse me, Adam, right? No,
Well,
Adam.
he was first.
He was first. Okay, so Mike, Jonathan, and then Adam.
So
Please.
I just want to
Thank
stress
you.
that all the municipality leaders all agree with what's being talked about. Orlando contested that, and so could Maureen. We wanted more students, but there's multiple factors in that. I think the RAC needs to get ahead of us on this before we start picking any students, final numbers, because that's what's going to determine what each community is going to have to pay. So Mayor Barrett was very clear that she wanted more students. Raleigh and Newburyport were very clear that they didn't want any more students. So there's a lot of communities that had different talks, but I think the RAC has to get in front of us because it's all going to be tied to the capital improvement cost. So, all 11 communities were very clear and everyone negotiated in good faith, but I think the RAC needs to get ahead of us before we start trying to pick how many students that we're going to look at. I felt that way during the debate that we had, but again, it's, we did try to get more students, and Maureen, when we sent that letter of the 11 communities that signed, Maureen had to give a number. MSB wanted that number at that time. So I don't think the MSB is going to move much, and I also think the RAC's got to get ahead of us on this matter because the end goal is to get this project approved. If we go learn from our history, it went too big of a number, it got killed. So we also got to be remembering that when we're talking about students, because number of students is what makes the school cost more money. So as we have that conversation, I think it's really important we got to remember that.
And by the RAC, you mean the municipal
Regional
leaders?
agreement, sorry,
All right.
I'm using acronyms that.
I just didn't know whether everybody knew.
Got it in our head.
I'm getting all this in my head as I go here, too, at the same time. Jonathan and then Adam.
Thanks. If you wait long enough, most people make all your points for you. So you said a few things I wanted to mention on, but I think we're early in the committee, and I think we want to make sure that we can be all on the same page about stuff. And I think if people want to hash out this number, then we probably should meet before the 28th and look at the data. But ultimately, I think we're all saying the same thing. We're all saying we want more students, and I think you're going to go and advocate for more students, and we're going to get the biggest number that we can get. But we do need to be realistic. The MSBA realizes our community's just rejected a very expensive project, and that if you had 100 less students, square footage less, whatever it might be, those things are all connected. So I would support the idea of let's meet and hash it out. And I think we're going to advocate for the biggest number, and then we'll see what we get. And I think that decision is going to be made way before the RAC gets to do anything, because that decision is going to be made in January. So,
Adam.
Yeah, so I guess I'll pick up the pieces here. He got most of it. He got the other half of it. But the other thing we need to keep in mind is, we're not building this school for this year or next year. We're building this for the foreseeable future. I mean, we're talking 50 years. If I understand there's a balance of cost benefit for the smaller communities, Groveland obviously being one of them. But if the seats can be filled by someone, and maybe 10 years down the road, it's Groveland maxing it out and Haverhill ain't sending anybody there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some level of that needs to be thought about as well as we do this. But I agree with Jonathan, this conversation, we should absolutely have this before anything goes.
Okay. So just a question for, I think, Maureen or anyone in the room. Back when I was doing this, there was a group called NESDEC that did enrollment projections for the public schools. Is there a similar group that does that for vocational technical schools?
You have to contract with them, but they still do that. But we used a lot of our data when we looked at admissions. I mean, Kara can speak on this a little bit, even more than I can. When I'm looking at applications for last year, April of 2025, we had 659 applications for 330 spots. If we were to have a school for every student that applied, we would be looking at a school of 2,636 students. When I brought the number back up to, when I brought that number to MSBA, the last building project, and said 2,400, because I too want every kid that wants a vocational education to get a vocational education. They said, no, you can have 1,400 max. And when we looked at the building project at 1,280 versus 1,400, it was cost prohibitive to even increase by that 120 students. So I will bring that information to our next, when we have a meeting to go over that information. But, you know, the municipal leaders, the town managers and mayors, that this was a number that they felt comfortable with. And at this point, you know, we want to make sure that people are comfortable with the number.
Michael.
Mine's pretty simple. I just want to say thank you to Maureen and the municipal leaders, those that did this work, to pick the number, because it was due October 30th. It was due. We hadn't met yet. We hadn't met in a committee, so I don't think it was meant for any purpose. It had to be submitted. So thank you for all the efforts you guys all did on it.
So is there flexibility?
So I'm having a meeting, again, there's flexibility until that January 28th.
All right.
So.
Okay. Kara? And then
Yeah, I
John.
would just like to kind of go off on what Maureen said. I was in those meetings with her. I was in all of the building committee meetings. And we actually had a couple of enrollment meetings, if I recall correctly. And she wanted 2,400. She wanted every kid that applied. They said, no way. Then we kept going back and forth. I think what this group may not understand is they see a lot more data than we do. They know every single project in every single one of our communities that's going on. They know all of the debt service. They have looked at enrollment for the past 20 years. They know which buildings they have funded. They know which buildings are in the process of being funded. And so I think what they're looking at is we're looking at us. They're looking at the whole picture and they're saying, well, wait a minute, we're putting money into this school district and this school district and this school district, and we don't want to be putting money into that school district that's going to have a new school and then have nobody there. And so they're looking at it from a very different perspective. And while I agree with what everybody says here, because Maureen and I definitely advocated for as many kids as want to come here, in the end, they will tell us the enrollment. We may not like it, we may not agree with it, but they are very prescribed. They have a lot more data than we do. They have different reasonings for why they do what they do. And they will actually say to us, if they like 1,500, they will tell us. If they don't like 1,500, we will not get 1,500. So I just wanted to say that there's a lot more that goes on with them, you know, that everybody here may not realize. The data that they have is huge.
Chairman has a point.
Yeah, just piggyback on that. Maybe, you know, when we started the discussion, I think probably it'd be worthwhile to have someone come out from school building committee if possible.
I don't think
they won't do that?
I don't think you're ever going to get that.
Don't we ever get it? But we just need, to answer your question, I never had a state.
What are they afraid of, this
Let me just say
committee?
this, I've never had a state agency ever tell me they can't come out and see me, so maybe it's like I lock them up, but you know, but I
That's why they wanted
understand,
to come
but
out
I
and see you.
think people around the table need to have that, the way you put it, it's gonna be answered, so that's a problem.
All right. We got Jonathan, Bernie, and then Evan. Jonathan,
Thank you.
John first. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, so I definitely understand the process, and that they're looking at the bigger picture.
Yep.
But let's figure out what we think we really need, right? Don't you think that's a solid place to start? And then secondly, I want to piggyback on what Maureen Lynch said. You know, and she mentioned that Northern Essex, you know, may be able to handle some of the load, right? But I think we believe, and I don't want to speak for you.
Keep going.
All right. That it's going to be, you know, a combination of help that we're going to get. We're going to get it from some of the high schools. For example, the superintendent at Haverhill High is dying to be able to fill some of those gaps. And I know Northern Essex is as well. Had a discussion with the president on that. And so, you know, we might be able to bring the number down by working it that way. but at least we'll have something solid to stand on, else we're gonna spend a lot of time on concrete, without really understanding, or having our communities understand what we really need. And if the state comes back and says, you can only have 1,400, fine. But what I'm saying is, let's at least understand our communities, what the needs are, and maybe to that meeting, invite, well, it might have to be a separate meeting because of the number of superintendents, but I suspect all of them would like to also take on some of the responsibility, because they know their kids, the 200 to 300 kids in Haverhill that don't get in every year, they go back to Haverhill High School, and they want to do vocational training. And the superintendent of Haverhill, I can only speak for, based on what she has said at past meetings, they're very interested in filling any of those gaps that may be out there, because it's the kids first. That's what we should be thinking of. How do we make sure that our kids who want to have vocational training and not end up in a minimum wage job, right? That really should be the bottom line. And if the state comes back, so be it. But at least we know what we need. That's my Mayor, that's a lot, Mayor.
Don't pin that one on me again.
Mr. Chairman.
You did a fairly good job.
Oh, fairly good job. Hear that? So did you. Yeah. Bernie.
Yes, this is complicated. I think the
Absolutely.
idea of having a working session to address this issue makes a great deal of sense. There's a lot of data and a lot of conundrums. So, for example, I do have the data from the applications, and Maureen shared that with me when I made a request. For Haverhill, for example, 82% of the eligible 8th graders applied to Whittier. 82%. So accepting all 82% is going to create another issue for Haverhill, I would imagine. On the same token, given the 11 communities, only 8% of the eligible students in Newburyport applied to Whittier. So there's this huge variance between the communities. And that's one of the underlying issues. It's one of the complicating factors for the regional agreement that needs to be worked through. And it's why I was pushing so hard. Some may have sought it as being rude, but to get the RAC in place in order to address these issues, because these issues also apply to that regional agreement, as well as the scope and the functions of any new building. So I have this data. I can bring it up to the chairman, and it can be shared if necessary.
So let's take a couple more, Kevin and Dick, and then let's talk about an agenda for the next meeting. All we'll do is, we're not making a decision about this tonight. It is not on our agenda. We'd have to suspend the rules to do any type of a vote. I don't think we're in a position to take a vote relative to this. But we are in a position to commit to another meeting and then to request what we need for that meeting in the way of information. So Kevin and then Dick, and then let's get to the idea of a date, and then request from individual members about the type of information they think they need to make a decision or advocate on things of this nature. Kevin.
Yeah, just a quick question on Anna David. On the 28th meeting, I mean, what is this officially? Is it MSBA meeting with just the administrators of Whittier, or are they meeting with the school building committee?
So in the last time it was with the administrators, so they had a team of people with MSBA that went over the data.
So shouldn't it be, I mean, I guess my question, I mean, shouldn't it be a meeting with the school building committee?
I can ask them that that's not how it has been, or my knowledge of it ever
Yeah.
being at another district, so.
And I guess to build on everybody's points, starting with Kara, yes, the school building authority has lots of data, and I'm surprised that they're not talking about data about our future needs of our kids and our economy. What are our workforce anticipations? We all know that VOTEC schools are, severely with wait lists, and there's severe demand, so, limiting the program to, current enrollment or just bumping it up 5% is an unacceptable thing statewide as a policy. But to John's point, there are other tools out there. And you're right, we are in a conundrum, and part of that is, there are, VOTEC annex grants that could put light industrial buildings on a property of a high school, comprehensive high school, with a partnership that they have actually out in Central Mass right now. There are different innovation programs that our smaller communities can fill in different needs and demands. So, part of this assessment and part of this working group, I mean, the bigger idea of the superintendents and et cetera, is actually trying to do that assessment of our global needs and how we put as big a fix as we can with a VOTEC school, and then supplement it where we need to supplement it in our region. This is really what we're talking about, our economy and this and that. Our region is the big winner here.
Thank you. Dick?
Couple quick things. Mr. Mitchell, you said fill a gap for Haverhill. What did you mean by fill a gap?
That they may be able to provide, CTE classes in some other areas. Of course, we're going to have to lobby for that to happen. They can do that now, Haverhill High School, but generally they have to go through a process and prove that Whittier VOTEC does not have the capacity. So none of this is easy, right? The easiest thing to do is just not even care about, the 200-300 kids
And the
every
reason
year.
why I asked that, I've been here 25 years. I've got all those numbers. Most of your towns, decreases, increases. Haverhill just got 20 more kids in here. I had parents coming to me in the 5th grade, 6th grade, getting ready to come into here. We've got a new policy in place for admissions, which I believe is going to create a lot of problems. I was at the open house, and there was a lot of good questions, and I think I've missed, out of 25 years, I missed 1 year. I didn't get to that meeting with the superintendent, and had somebody there, all A's, 100%, never missed a day, all 8 years, and might not get in here. And that's very concerning to me, but yet there's nothing we can do about it, because the Boston wanted this new process. We're going to try it, and hopefully it works out. How many, not to put you on the spot, how many have applied now? 400, 500?
I think we're just at 400 right
Yeah.
now.
So when we get 700 and 800 kids, it's going to be pretty tough, and I'm going to tell you why. I talked to 30 or 40 parents a year with the kids. A lot of it comes to tutoring in the past, blah, blah, blah. Going to school, not missing 20, 30 days. Now you can miss 40, 50 days, but I have a problem with it because it's not going to be fair for the new kids coming in, but we got to play the cards we're dealt. The new policy for midterms comes into effect for December 1st. I think the applications are done, and we're going to be picking them sometime in December. There could be 10, there could be 20 seats available. This year, how many did we accept? 290?
Yeah.
And
375 we expect.
390 with 375. How many showed up on October? What?
330 or so.
Right, so there's 30 or 40. The reason why I'm asking that question, I called 10 parents, the kids that did not get in, this past time, not one want to come here this December. They don't want to apply. They're at the high school, they're content. So I don't know where this is going to go with the future for the new kids coming in. But Haverhill just get 20 more. I think our October number was up 20. Half the communities went down. No, 5 went down, 5 stayed the same, and 2 or 3, leveled off. All right? It all comes down to money. The longer we wait, the more these costs are going to go up. I was in Boston 2 weeks ago, talked to somebody in Lexington. $660 million school they want to put up at the high school. These prices are not coming down. It'd be nice if we could do something down northern Essex for a lot of reasons, especially money. We're on the state's property. Maybe they'll have some consideration for us instead of bringing us down to 32%, pick up 70, 80% of the tab. But it's all going to come down to money, I mean, we can look at all the stats we want. We got to play the things that are in front of us right now, all right? It costs a lot to put somebody through here. I worked on this property in 1972, 73, driving a truck. This school was built unbelievable. It's all concrete. School in Haverhill that was built 30 years ago, Constantino School, maybe 35 years ago it was built. They're replacing it now. Preventative maintenance. I think we've done a great job here, but we're getting outdated on a lot of things. The boilers, the electrical, we can't replace any of it because I don't believe they have any parts for half that stuff, So that's where we stand. It all comes down to the dollars, cents, and how many kids we're going to get in here. I'd love to see 2,000-3,000 kids in here. Try to call a plumber right now, unless you know somebody. Try to get an electrician. Try to get a carpenter. Try to get a mechanic. It all starts in a technical school. Thank you.
All right, then the meeting I think that we want is prior to January 28th. That's the one thing we've concluded. Whether we have a chance at that meeting or not, we can't have a meeting after it. So what works before that?
Don't matter to me.
I'm looking to Maureen for that because her schedule, as the first, giving the first, take a moment. I mean, I'm just to fill it in with some chatter. I'm incredibly impressed with the concerns and the diversity of perspectives that want to do the best for the students. And it's not easy. When I was in high school, I'll tell you when, in the 60s, kids who didn't think they could make it in the high school were sent, not here, it was downtown Haverhill on Wingate Street. And it was a trade school, and the high school was the place where how was it happen? The guidance counselor said, this is the right place for you, they were looking to put students in the proper setting. They made mistakes, but the idea is for the proper setting within which a student can flourish and not fail. And as I've been sitting here thinking, and getting the proper setting, it's going to be difficult with that new enrollment procedure, or acceptance procedure. A lot of students, they get in and it may not be the appropriate place for them. That's a tough one. To increase the number may sound good, but it may create more chance for failure for some people. But on the other hand, it may be the more chance for success for others. So this is a very difficult discussion, and not having had it would have been a failure of this committee. So I'm glad it came up, because the concern that we've expressed here is where we should be, living within the means that are given to us, because we can't build it on our own. We need the state reimbursement. We may need some, in cooperation from Northern Essex Community College. We have to work with our partners and our benefactors to do the best we can. We're not going to come up with perfection, I guarantee you. But we can do better if we work together like we did in this round of discussion. Was that enough time, Nicole? I could go on another 5-10 minutes if you, but I won't.
Does Thursday, December 11th? Like to do it before the holidays?
Can we do that before the holidays, December 11th?
I don't care, it doesn't matter to me.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I can, but the rest of the committee can.
Does that matter?
I can't do it.
I don't have it as a sport.
Really, isn't that funny? It's in my calendar, I don't know why.
What do you have, Kara?
Is that the sports paper? No?
I think this is.
6:30, the same time on the 11th, is that what you want?
All right.
There's another date.
Would it be the same time?
Well, who can make the 11th? Just see let's do a poll around the room.
I can do the 9th too. 9th works better, Tuesday.
I can do the 9th. but
Can I just clarify same times so we're all?
6:30.
6:30.
Yep.
So we've got a good group for the 11th. How about the 9th? Who can do the 9th?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me.
Looks like more.
City council,
City Council.
city council and select board meetings.
Okay, so we'll have to stay with the 11th then, okay? Is the majority comfortable with the 11th?
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Should we have a representative from Northern Essex who can make it that day? Neither of you.
We'll take good notes.
Okay, it's unfortunate, but it seems like that's what it is. Now, let me ask a question, Mike, and then go to you. Be thinking now what information you would like that is reasonably being able to put together by the 11th. I'd like to know a lot of
Bernie?
things. I don't think we'll get it. Yeah. Mike had a question.
Mike,
Yeah, go ahead,
sorry.
Frank,
No,
take it
I
over.
just wanted, does it help for some of the, does it help you if it's hybrid to get it, to be able to attend? On the 11th, I just was offering the hybrid model, may help everyone get here.
They're away at a conference, so they'll all be away at a conference.
I just didn't know if they were in.
If it's an option,
Yeah.
Let's go back to Bernie.
Just go ahead.
Bernie, can we go back to you? I'm sorry.
I've forgotten. I was.
All right, we'll take a minute. We'll go to Kevin. Kevin?
Welcome to the club.
The
Bernie.
purpose for this committee to discuss enrollment, basically.
That's correct. We want to all get a grasp on
We're
it.
gonna bring in any other, there was talk about bringing in other people if they wanted to comment, a lot of superintendents, members of RAC, I don't know if there was, for audience purposes or.
That's,
It's an open meeting.
it's an open meeting, that's fine.
I have to say, that municipal group, that's the number they landed on,
Yeah, yeah.
and like if.
No, just say there was some talk
I
about
would
it.
really encourage them to attend the meeting and explain why this wasn't a Maureen Lynch number.
In the spirit of transparency. yeah.
This was a number that
And I
they
think
felt
that
comfortable
the
with.
other thing we'd like is to find someone from the school building committee to come up to that meeting if possible. So if they say no, fine, but that's
Go
not,
to MSBA meeting.
yeah, to come up and help us with this. There was a lot of questions around the table about that.
It's an online.
Well,
So I
if we
can
get them
ask for
online,
some-
we'll take it. And
can
we
ask for some.
plug them in, that's fine. But I think people have questions and we want to try to get them answered. I think it's important. Mike, I'm sorry. Did you
No,
have another
I'm
question?
good. I'm good.
So does anybody have any requests for particular types of information?
Just what you submitted already, right? I mean, all the demographic information you submitted, enrollments, projections, you know.
Does everybody have a table of the funding formulas as they are now, so that we know what the RAC committee is dealing with?
Oh, from the agreement?
Yes,
They have-
they have that, all right?
We
But
should probably just leave on the agenda, maybe put on the agenda just updates from the RAC.
Yeah.
They won't have a meeting by then.
No, I don't think we are scheduled to.
Yeah, the December
No.
17th is your first meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, shoot,
Go ahead.
lady.
Just take
I'm
it.
sorry,
Take
ma'am.
it.
What's your first name?
Hi, Carol Sullivan, or Carol.
Carol, thank you. Go ahead.
Should we see if we can get some population figures of our students from our towns as they're going on, projections?
I think,
We have all of that.
Yeah.
We will have that.
oh shit. We'll get that all out to you before the meeting. Yeah. We had someone else? Bernie?
Right, there are a couple of, Desi has a number of reports that.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the mic so we can all?
Sorry, Desi has a number of reports that speaks to the application process and that also indicates in that data, the numbers of eligible students from the various communities as well. That's where I got my numbers. So I can share those links if Maureen probably already knows all about it. So.
That'll be fine, and we'll share that. Mike?
Through you, co-chairs, I don't know if you guys want all the letters that the working group sent to MSBA, so maybe some of the people who have not seen those letters may help them understand where their municipalities were coming from on a lot of the discussions that we were talking about. That's through the chair. I don't know if you want to share that information.
Why not? Do you have the documentation?
Mike, explain what letters as
The
far
letter
as.
that all 11 communities signed to send to MSBA. Also, like Mike said, that we had to come up with a number. Why we came up with that number, because we sent all that to the MSBA. So maybe some of people who did not get that information may help them understand where all of us were coming from in the discussion.
Anything around enrollment we'll put together in the packet for everybody. We'll take all the suggestions that we're given around the table tonight about that. So we'll do that, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Chris.
Just a, FYI, we do have a sports banquet that night, so it'll be a little bit more packed in that area. It's held at 6 p.m. in the gymnasium, so just, if we're down here, just be aware of them coming in that night. It's going to be a little bit more packed.
Good, thank you.
Very quick. So we are going to invite the superintendents and let them know that we're having the meeting.
If you'd
Is that what I
like,
heard?
I'm not sure their role in this.
Yeah.
Their role.
I was just gonna, with the, well, if you want to answer what their role is,
I'll finish.
Yeah. then I'll-
Just to get an idea for, what their plans are for the future, if they wish to share them, but especially their eagerness to, fill in the gaps that we can't meet here at Whittier Tech, and I think that'll help us in coming up with a number. At least we'll have a better idea. Let's put it that way.
John, that may be Havel School Committee night. It's the second Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Mike.
I can't speak for Haverhill, but I can tell you, Maureen could probably, I don't think any superintendent is going to be okay with taking students out of their school systems. I'm sorry. because all I have to say is that's how they get reimbursed for money.
Our goal is to put them in
So leave
the
them
school
into
system.
their host community school systems?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were saying they're going to come in and say, oh yeah, take all my students and I'm going to be okay with that.
No, they've already said that. But
Okay.
All right. So December.
I do have a question.
All right, quickly, Scott, and then Mary.
I'm not
Excuse
sure
me,
I
Scott.
understand.
Excuse me, Mary.
Okay, sorry.
He was first, and
Yeah,
you're right
okay.
with you.
Just real quick, I've agreed with Councilor Mitchinson most of the night, but I'm not sure what the superintendents of the other communities would add to this process. I think they don't really have a role in this. I think there's various competing interests there, unfortunately, to some degree as well. I'm just not sure that it adds anything to the process. I don't understand the real logic behind that one.
Mary Ellen.
And I'm not sure what you think a high school, not just Haverhill High, but Pentucket, Triton, what gap are you talking about? What do you think they could do? When you look at the programs here,
yes.
what do you see that they could do without these kinds of equipment and such?
I think we'll be able to determine their eagerness and what they're they
This
all
is my
have-
problem with eagerness. Eagerness,
Well,
you're saying they're eager. You say they're eager. To do what?
they have
With what?
They have CTE programs already, right?
And what are they? That's what I don't understand what you say CTE.
They have
but-
they have some similar programs that Whittier has, but not the hands-on vocational training.
So that's where I think
And
I'm not sure that I'm following you in a positive way.
yeah, so they've been asked, they've asked in the past, right, to be able to, possibly, provide some of those vocational training if there's a need, if Whittier Votech is filled. And we'd probably have to go back and work with the state on that, because right now they make it very difficult for that to happen.
Right.
But that's today.
All right, I'm going to call for a cutoff point
Can I just
here.
bring up one point real quick, because I think it's important?
Half a point.
They can't run competing programs with Whittier Votech. So they're not eligible for reimbursement to do that. If Whittier Votech is running the program, they can't run a competing program with it and be eligible for the
All right.
reimbursement. So I think that's
All right.
the point.
But let's keep our eyes open and see what's going on around us. But what we have to do here is come up with the questions and seek the answers that will help us build the best possible school we can with the limits that we have. For communities involved, all of the students, and for the taxpayers that are going to foot this bill. So I thank you all and wish you a happy Thanksgiving. The next meeting is on December 11th. Is everybody comfortable with the seating arrangement? I'd ask you to stay.
next to my buddy Bertie.
There we go. Well,
Make a motion to adjourn.
second? All right, there you go. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.